Anywhere, as we will be coming back to you during these. Breaking news now. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer said Hillary Clinton deferred numerous questions to her husband during her closed-door deposition, calling the moment a historic day for Congress. Speaking outside the Tribeca Performing Arts Center, Comer said the committee is committed to questioning some of the most powerful figures in the country as part of its ongoing investigation linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Comer emphasized that no one is currently being accused of any wrongdoing, but said the American public deserves answers. He noted that during her testimony, Hillary Clinton redirected at least a dozen questions to former President Bill Clinton, telling lawmakers they would need to ask him directly. According to Comer, the committee already had an extensive list of questions prepared for Bill Clinton, and that list expanded following his wife's testimony. We're now being rejoined by Matthew. Thank you for joining us back here for this. What does Hillary Clinton's decision to defer multiple questions to Bill Clinton during her deposition suggest about how Congress is approaching accountability in the Epstein probe?
I don't know what it says about Congress, but I know that it says a lot about her, that she's an obstructionist, and that this is not a stupid woman, and she remembers a lot, and I don't believe that she needed to defer so many questions to her husband. I just don't buy it. This is not a stupid person with a bad memory. I don't think she has dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that. She's a crafty political, Machiavellian operator. If she doesn't want to answer a question, there's a damn good reason. Hillary Clinton is endlessly corrupt. More so probably than her husband. This is a woman who, as Secretary of State, used to demand a fee through her aide de camp, Huma Abedin, in order to gain access to her. A fee to be paid to Clinton-related philanthropies. So, Hillary Clinton is endlessly corrupt, but that doesn't mean that she did anything wrong with respect to Epstein. The fact that she's not answering certain questions, I guess it doesn't prove anything when you don't answer a question, but it certainly suggests to most people that she has something to hide. Now, I don't know how Congress could have done anything differently. All they can do is subpoena her, and they've done that. And she appeared for the deposition in her hometown of Chappaqua, New York, a fancy hoity-toity suburb of New York City, where I think George Soros also lives, by some strange coincidence. And she I don't know how Congress could have done anything differently. All they can do is press her to answer questions, and she answered some of them, and she declined to answer other ones. Whether the committee is going to make more progress with Bill Clinton, I expect he will. He's not. He's a clever fellow, but I don't think he's as slippery as his wife is. So, you may get some real answers from Bill Clinton today during his deposition.
Thank you, Matthew. Stay with us, please, as we will come back to you later. Some more breaking news. Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia has called on President Donald Trump to testify before the House Oversight Committee, arguing that Republicans have set a new precedent by compelling a former president to appear for questioning. Garcia said that if former President Bill Clinton can be brought in for a deposition, then President Trump should also answer questions. Garcia specifically pointed to concerns over missing files at the Department of Justice and alleged a White House cover-up related to Jeffrey Epstein investigation. He criticized the administration for continuing to dismiss the probe as a hoax, saying the American public deserves transparency. We're now going to be joined again by Mark Sutherland. Thank you, Mark, for joining us here again for this story. How might Garcia's arguments that compelling Bill Clinton sets a precedent for questioning Donald Trump resonate with the public and affect perceptions of fairness and accountability?
Again, a very good question, Ellie. The American public, in my personal opinion, along with over here, we do want some answers where the Clintons are concerned. And for a number of people, when they wrap that whole thing around, oh, it's a conspiracy, well, unfortunately, I've run out of them, and many of them are now to be then true. In regard to accountability, I will say this. Just because your name is in the Epstein files doesn't mean that you have done anything wrong. And if they want to pursue President Trump for that and ask him to come and talk about whatever they see that he needs to, or any other cover-up in regard to this, I do understand that. But also, this is party politics. Remember that in a few months' time, we're coming up to the midterms. This is always crucial. It always says that the incumbent party may not do well within those midterms as well. So that is all at play. But as Matthew has said, there is huge history in regard to the Clintons. Whether we go back to Vince Foster, whether we go back to them trying to make money out of hiring out the Lincoln bedroom in the White House, and we could just go on. And remember, when they left the White House, basically they were bankrupt, and then suddenly they have their foundation, and all this money arrives. The other woman that maybe should be on the stand is Uma Abedin. They should be asking her about what she has seen in the past. But I understand totally what you're saying. This Costa will be saying that because it will be tit for tat, and this is what we are then seeing. My concern, as we're putting all our attention to that, what is also going on out there in regard to the world, in regard to what we see in Iran, etc. What else is people going to put through in regard to the news cycle, in regard to hiding things? But as Matthew has said, people do need to be held to account, and there are a lot of skeletons, I believe personally, within the Clinton skeleton cupboard. So we will wait and see, and also we will wait and see how the White House deals with these calls and the accusations that they then say, well, President Trump should be in trial. Well, we just quickly have to remember the amount of lawfare that the Democrats have put him through over the last 4 years, and including all the Jan 6 committee and all the Jan 6 prisoners as well that were then released. E.g., it's a complete battle for power. And do people actually believe in the Constitution of the United States, or do they just believe that because they're in a position they can then abuse the power that they are being given? And I say that they should not be abusing that one iota. Ellie.
Thank you, Mark. We're going to go to the next breaking. Republican Congresswoman Nancy Macy has claimed that Hillary Clinton appeared unhinged during her closed-door deposition before the House Oversight Committee in its probe linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Speaking to reporters, Mace alleged that Clinton was screaming at points during questioning, particularly when asked about photographs of her husband contained in Justice Department files connected to the Epstein investigation. The deposition lasted more than 6 hours and took place in Chappaqua, New York, where the Clintons reside. Lawmakers have been examining materials tied to the Justice Department's handling of the Epstein case as part of a broader congressional inquiry. Clinton has not publicly responded to Mace's characterizations of the session. No official transcript from the deposition has yet been released. We are now being rejoined by Matthew. Thank you, Matthew, for staying with us. How should characterizations like unhinged made publicly by lawmakers about a closed-door deposition influence public perceptions of the investigation's professionalism and seriousness?
Well, you know, a congresswoman like Nancy Mace is pretty outspoken. She's said some embarrassing things herself, but really embarrassing. But I won't go into those right now because this is a family program. She is, you know, she's not a judge or a juror, and you can't shut her up. So she's going to say what she feels like saying. Whether it's appropriate or not is depends where you sit, I guess. But her description that Hillary Clinton was unhinged and screaming when testifying strikes me as possibly pretty accurate, because Hillary Clinton is extremely she's not always calm, cool, and collected. She doesn't like being attacked or questioned. She really strongly resents it. And she doesn't like her meal ticket, Bill Clinton, her husband, being attacked either. So I can see why she would freak out and start screeching while being while testifying. She has self-control to a point, but there's certain things that drive her over the edge, and being attacked personally, up front, up close and personal, is not something that she tends to handle well. I think that the perception that she is unhinged at times is something that the American people already accept, and yet a lot of them still voted for her in 2016. Just as President Donald Trump's faults are many, and yet many people still voted for him anyway, because they saw through that and looked at his other qualities and his stands on policies and what he stood for. So. Congresswoman Nancy Mace is trying to influence the proceeding, just as another, congressman, left-winger, is trying to suggest that Donald Trump should be forced to testify, even though I'm not sure why that would even be necessary, because you don't have any kind of a smoking gun against Donald Trump. He's the most investigated public figure in American history, and if there was something incriminating in his past behavior, they would have uncovered it already.
Thank you so much, Matthew, for joining us here today on NewsX World.